All around you, right now, there's this invisible blueprint that shapes almost everything in your life. Seriously, from how wide a hallway feels to what keeps a skyscraper standing tall. Today, we're going to decode that blueprint. We're talking about the building code, the hidden language that designs our world for safety. I mean, have you ever walked down a hallway and it just felt right? Or maybe you've looked up at a massive skyscraper swaying in the wind and wondered, how on earth does that thing not fall over? Well, I can tell you, none of those details are an accident. They are all meticulously planned out according to a really powerful set of rules.
And the answer, of course, is the building code. Now, I know what you might be thinking, a dusty, boring old rulebook, right? Nope. Think again. This thing is a living document. It's a totally human-centered guide that translates our shared needs for safety, for comfort, for accessibility into the very bricks and mortar of the world we all live in.
So, to really understand this guide, we first have to learn its language. And in the world of building, being precise with your words isn't just, a nice to have. It's the absolute foundation of safety. Okay, take these two words, renovation and reconstruction. To most of us, they sound pretty much the same, right? But in the language of the code, their meanings are worlds apart. A renovation might just be you painting your kitchen. But a reconstruction, well, that can mean you're moving a wall that holds up the floor above. That one little distinction changes everything. It dictates the entire level of safety upgrades you have to do, and it has a massive impact on the budget and, most importantly, the safety of everyone inside.
And this kind of precision is possible because the code is structured with a super clear logic. Honestly, it's almost like a recipe. First, you have the definition section, so everyone is speaking the exact same language. Then you've got the scope, which tells you when and where these rules apply. And finally, there are the references, which are like the detailed instructions, pointing you to the exact technical stuff you need. It's a whole system designed to leave zero room for error.
All right, so now that we kind of get the language, let's look at what it's all for, and that is designing for people. This is where the code really stops being abstract rules and turns into the real, tangible spaces that we live in every single day. The code is what makes sure buildings are actually livable, not just giant boxes. It sets out minimum room sizes so you can fit your bed and a dresser in a bedroom. It dictates ceiling heights so you have enough air and light. And it specifies corridor widths so people can pass each other safely, especially in an emergency. And these aren't just random numbers. They're based on decades of research into how humans actually use space. And nowhere is the code's purpose clearer than when it comes to life safety. A huge principle here is something called fire separation or compartmentation. The whole strategy is to divide a building up into these fire-resistant zones to slow a fire down, giving people precious, life-saving time to get out. This one concept influences everything, from how thick a wall is to the type of door you find in a stairwell. The code also fights for dignity and inclusivity. See, an accessible route is so much more than just a ramp. It's a promise. It's a commitment to a continuous, totally barrier-free path from the sidewalk outside to every essential part of a building inside. It's the whole idea of universal design in action, making sure our environment empowers everyone to be a full part of society. Okay, let's switch gears for a second and think of a building like a body, right? It has a skeleton for strength, and it has a skin that protects it from the outside world. Well, the code governs both of those things with incredible detail.
A building's skin, we're talking walls, roof, windows, is called the building envelope. And the code gets super specific about how this skin has to perform, especially when it comes to energy. By requiring things like a high solar reflectance to bounce heat away, great insulation to keep heat in, and airtight construction to stop leaks, the code basically forces efficiency to be designed right into the building from day one.
And what about that skeleton, the structure? Here's a number that might actually blow your mind. The code requires that the structure of a standard building has to be designed to last for a minimum of 50 years. This isn't just about making things last. It's a huge commitment to long-term safety, durability, and sustainability. So if the structure is the skeleton and the envelope is the skin, what about the organs? The internal systems, your heating, your plumbing, your electricity. These are the building's lifelines. Its circulatory and respiratory systems. And yeah, the code regulates them just as carefully. A building's health directly impacts our own health. It's that simple. The code carefully balances all these different factors to create a healthy indoor environment.
Things like being at a comfortable temperature, having good air quality, proper ventilation, even controlling noise and making sure you get some natural light. It's this whole holistic approach designed to keep us feeling good and being productive.
And the code even gets into our daily conveniences in ways you might not expect. For instance, elevators. Nobody likes waiting forever for an elevator, right? Well, the code actually sets performance standards, like maximum wait times, just to make sure a building's elevators can handle the flow of people without causing a huge bottleneck, especially at rush hour. So, after digging into all these details, from fire separation to elevator speeds, let's zoom all the way back out. Why does any of this truly matter? Well, because the building code is so much more than just a technical document. It's a living document that actually reflects our deepest values as a society. When we mandate fire safety rules, we're basically saying we value protecting our families. When we require accessibility, we're saying we value an inclusive society for every single person. And when we push for energy efficiency, we are screaming that we value a sustainable future for our planet.
And that kind of leaves us with one final thought. The code is never finished. It's always evolving. As our world changes, with crazy new technologies, a rapidly shifting climate, and totally new ways of living, that blueprint for our buildings has to change right along with it. So the real question is, what will the next chapter of the building code look like? What new rules will we need to write to build the world of tomorrow?